Hi everyone, welcome to another ranking from Metal Flesh. Today I will rank the entire Motley Crue discography. I will place them somewhere between or at Get in the Bin all the way up to From Here to Eternity. From its release I will pick up two highlight songs. I will stay away from the obvious hits. Right, we're kicking things off with 1981's release Too Fast for Love. This one's raw and hungry debut that sounds close to a street level heavy metal than the polished glam metal Motley Crue would later become. The production is rough and sometimes thin, but that actually helps the rebellious atmosphere. The songwriting isn't fully refined yet, but the energy and attitude is undeniably amazing. This album, it's raw, it's dirty, and it's heavier than later Crue releases. Highlights from me will be Piece of Your Action and Live Wire. For me, this is a really strong debut album. This is a high A tier, somewhere between a really high A tier but not quite as From Here to Eternity tier. 1983, we see Motley Crue's second album, Shout at the Devil. This album made Motley Crue superstars. It's darker, it's heavier and more aggressive than most glam metal albums of that era. It combines strong hooks with genuine metal riffs. There is hardly any filler in this album, and the band sounds absolutely dangerous and confident throughout. For me, this is start to finish just a masterpiece. Highlights will be Too Young to Fall in Love and Looks Like Kill. For me, this is a From Here to Eternity release. 1985, we see the release of Theatre of Pain. What can I say here? Well, after the darkness or the dark atmosphere created at Shout at the Devil, the band moved forward towards a more commercial and glam-orientated sound. There are a few good points here and there, but the whole album feels quite uneven. Several tracks feel like a filler songs, and then obviously it's just the songwriting isn't there. Personally, the cover to Smoking in the Boys' Room, I cannot listen to it at all. I absolutely hate that song. Highlights will be Fight for Your Rights and Louder Than Hell. For me, this is a C tier album. 1987, we see the release of Girls, Girls, Girls. The band here returns to a more dirtier hard rock sound. The album captures the sleazy image of the band. We have got a couple of really good songs and a couple of others which are less memorable or filler tracks. It's a step up from Theatre of Pain, but it's not as good. Highlights will be Dancing on Glass and Wild Side. For me, this is a B tier album. 1989, we see the release of Dr. Feelgood. This is the band's masterpiece. The production is massive, the performances are sharp, and nearly every song is memorable. I believe Bob Rock here helped turn the band into a polished machine without losing their edge. This is one of the defining hard rock albums of the late 1980s era. Comparing this to previous Crue albums, it's more polished and consistent than the previous Crue albums. Highlights, I'm gonna go with Kickstart My Heart and Dr. Feelgood. For me, this is a From Here to Eternity album. It's just gonna go right here. 1994, we see the release of the album called Motley Crue. Vince Neil is no longer in the band. We've got John Corabi on vocals. This one is quite an underrated release of the band's catalogue. The music is heavier and darker and more mature than anything Crue has done before. Some fans reject this album because Vince Neil is no longer in the band. We have got a big change on the vocal parts. The songwriting is excellent, the production is outstanding. Comparing this to the previous albums, it's heavier and more serious than the Vince Neil era. Highlights from me will be Misunderstood and Till Death Do Us Part. For me, this is an A-tier album. It's just gonna go right over here. 1997, we see the release of Generation Swine. We've got a reunion. Basically, Vince Neil is back on vocals. This album is somewhat or extremely confused album, as it tries to mix this different style of music. Like, we've got alternative rock, we've got industrial influences, and then also we've got, somehow the band manages to like attach the classic Crue sound as well. Some songs are good. The album lacks direction and consistency. It feels like the band is struggling to adapt in the changing musical trends. This one is more experimental and extremely uneven album. Highlights from me will be Find Myself and Glitter. I'm just gonna put that one on a C tier. I'm just gonna put it here. 2000, we see the release of New Tattoo. The band here tries to return to their classic Motley Crue formula. Fortunately, the songwriting isn't quite there. It just feels a little bit recycled or rehashed old ideas. There are a few memorable songs. It's not a terrible album, but it just lacks of the excitement of the earlier records. It did take me quite a long time to get into this album. I had to force myself to listen to it over and over and over again, just to force myself to like it. Highlights will be First Band on the Moon, which is quite a fun song, and then Pants in the Teeth by Love. I absolutely love that song. For me, this is a C tier. Personally, I believe it's much better than Theatre of Pain. 2008, we have another reunion again. The band released Saints of Los Angeles. This is surprisingly a strong comeback. The band sounds energized. The songs capture some of the attitude and the magic of the earlier classic years. It doesn't reach the highs of Dr. Feelgood, but it's much better than what everybody was actually expecting. Comparing this to the 90s work, this is a stronger, more focused album, and also it's like an autobiographical album. It just goes through the band's history and what has happened to the band. Highlights for me will be Face Down in the Dirt and 6 Equals Trouble. For me, this is an A tier. It's better than Motley Crue, but not as good as Too Fast for Love. Which brings us to the latest album release, or EP, called Cancelled. It came out, I believe, in quite recently. This is a short release built around the band's reunion / latest lineup with John 5 on guitars. The performance here is okay. The material isn't enough to make a huge impact. We've got a couple of covers. It's just a rubbish release. Nothing stands out. No highlight songs here. For me, this is a get in the bin. I just hope the band just manages to like release a brand new album with new songs from start to finish. There you have it, the Motley Crue discography, ranked from Get in the Bin all the way up to From Here to Eternity. Till next time, stay heavy.